Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talkin Texana. I'm Rebecca Tasker, and this is Belle Starr Part 4. In our last episode, Belle Starr and Jim Reed had just made their way back to a now giant Dallas. Belle spent her days singing at the local saloon and taking suckers for all they're worth at the poker table. She reveled in her newfound notoriety and self-reliance. Numerous tales spread about Belle's involvement with her husband, Jim Reed's crimes, but there was very little evidence to hold against her. November 1873. Jim, his friend Tom Starr, and his brother Sam ambushed a Creek man named Walt Grayson. They collected some $30,000 worth of gold off of him. This is equivalent to roughly $3 million today. Stories circulated that an unknown member of the gang looked mysteriously like a disguised woman. As word of the crime spread, Jim Reed went back into hiding. In contrast, Belle Starr rode up and down the busy streets of Dallas on a number of fine racehorses. Many a townsperson was scandalized by her actions as well as her appearance. She wore luxurious velvet riding dresses, sported a gigantic ostrich feather in her hat, and carried 2 Smith & Wesson pistols at her waist. She would boldly enter areas usually reserved for men, and had no problem strutting into the saloon for a drink. When the moon got right and the mood hit her, she donned her buckskins and rode through the town like fringed lightning. People on the sidewalks ducked for cover, and local law enforcement ended up lying in the dirt just like everybody else. April 1879. While Belle was raising hell, Jim was busy robbing the Austin-San Antonio stagecoach, for which he was arrested, but soon released for lack of evidence. It wasn't long before a Paris, Texas deputy sheriff laid Jim Reed to rest. A friend ratted Reed out for a $5,000 bounty on his head. Deputy Sheriff John Morris shot him dead at the lunch table. Belle refused to identify the body of her late husband, possibly in an effort to deter the deputy from receiving his reward. Whether Deputy John Morris got his money or not, he hardly had time to spend it. Only 6 weeks after Jim Reed's death, he was shot dead as the devil in a Baptist preacher's front parlor. The killer's identity remains unknown. After her husband's passing, Belle sent Ed and Rose Pearl off to various relatives, and she made her way back to Dallas. There were tales of Belle leading gangs of horse thieves and cattle rustlers all over the North Texas area. It's reported that some 35,000 animals a year disappeared during that period, and roughly 700 men roamed the ranges and thickets, taking whatever they could get their hands on. In 1878, it's rumored that Belle married Cole Younger's cousin, Bruce, only to be found riddled with bullet holes in a New Mexico cave some 2 weeks later. Not long after, a marriage to Sam Starr showed up in Creek tribal records and was made official in 1880. This marriage granted Belle a lawful share to Sam Starr's Native American land within the nations. Belle gathered her children and the reunited family set up at Sam Starr's ranch on the Canadian River, which Belle promptly named Younger's Bend. Youngers. What sounds like a fresh start was the beginning of the end for Belle Starr. Check back soon to learn what trouble was a-brewin' in outlaw paradise. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Talkin Texana.